right or wrong. I don't want to alienate anybody. I don't want anyone to feel like they can't come and like laugh at my jokes because we disagree vehemently over something. Like, it's just like, what's the point of that? Like, this is art, and in my mind, this is art. Comedy is an art form. Like, I'm here to make you laugh. The next one that I made was like the character, and he was kind of like the guy who gets stuck talking to a wedding, and I'd done it before as a story, but I did another one. I posted it as a reel, and I think the next day it had like 100,000 views. Social, it's currency, and then it's like a social currency. Like, your job is your social currency, your title. So you say, and that's where I think the PE thing came in for me, was like, people would be like, well, I'm in PE, private equity, and it was like, they were like, well, I'm royalty. What are you doing not bowing down to me? Like, I was just like, what is that? I literally was like, I don't really know what that means.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Saucetown Investor Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Cox, back with a substantial episode today. Our guest can let me know if I did the voice decent right there. But I am really excited to have this guest on. He's probably my favorite creator on the internet right now. Kind of gives me hope that we can all just have fun and laugh at each other a little bit online instead of being at each other's throats. But our guest, he's the man behind the Instagram character or personality. PE guy, as in private equity guy, due to his role, of course. He operates as a personal trainer and group fitness trainer as his day job, and I am joined by Johnny Hilbrand. Johnny, how you doing?
Good, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And where are you joining us from today?
Boston,
Massachusetts. One of my favorite American cities. Are you in like Boston proper or out in the burbs? Or where are you?
The suburbs now. So on the Metro West suburbs, but was in like Beacon Hill area for a little bit, then Cambridge. Moved around a little bit, yeah.
Nice. And you said you're from, I made the assumption off air that you were from San Francisco because that's the PE capital of the world. But you're a Chicago guy, right?
Yep, from Chicago, the suburbs of Chicago. So to be fair, but yeah. Been in Boston for 9.5, almost 10 years, yeah.
Wow, okay. Cool. Well, let's get into it. I want to start off, actually, I'm gonna share a quick story with our audience, so bear with me. But I first started seeing Johnny's content back in probably spring of this year, and I thought it was hilarious. You know, I followed it, and I was like, "This is gold from day one."
Kellogg. I got my MBA at Kellogg, Northwestern. Yeah. Booth's a great school. Great. Booth is awesome, man. But we're a little more EQ, less quant than Booth. Yeah. But we're still in Chicago, loving it. Yeah.
But then to fast forward, I was on a trip this summer with my family in France, and we had a flight that got canceled because in France, the airlines just strike all the time, and that's how it works. So we had a 12-hour drive across France from Normandy to Nice. And I was in a car with my dad and my fiance. And my dad had never seen your videos, but we started playing them on the Bluetooth all the way through, and he was just cracking it. Like, he loved it. And then for people that follow the show, my dad had a pretty serious injury in France. And he's doing okay now. He's recovering. Everything's fine. But I actually hit up Johnny, and he did a custom video for my dad that he sent to him about his recovery. And it was awesome. It made him laugh. It brightened his day in those first kind of few dark days after the injury. So I just wanted to thank you for that before we
Oh my gosh, of course. Yeah. It was crazy. So, of course, what I'm here for, make people laugh, in times like that especially.
It was great, man. Loved it. So, anyway, let's go back to the very beginning. How did you come up with the character PE guy? Was it one person, or was it a multitude of people, or is it something else?
Yeah, I think it was multiple people, and multiple interactions that all kind of like came together as like one, and the character just started as like the guy you get stuck talking to at a wedding. And he didn't have a job. That wasn't really what was discussed. It was kind of like, you could tell he was successful. He had a lot of he was kind of like know-it-all about everything. And then it evolved into the guy you could start talking to at a wedding and happens to be in PE. And then it was like PE guy kind of just turned into PE guy. somehow. So it evolved in the first couple videos, which started posting in March of this year. Like it's pretty new. It's like 6 months old, but it's been evolving ever since. You know, you've been following for a while, so you know like the evolution of the kids and the names and all that.
Yeah.
You know, so
Cool. Yeah. So speaking of the evolution, like you said, it kind of started out. A lot of the videos were about situations, right? Like you said, guy who corners you at a wedding, and then it evolved more. I mean, you're still doing those, but then you started picking out specific cities, like New York City PE guy, or Portland, Oregon PE guy, or Houston, Texas, whatever. But how did that idea come up where you started transitioning to talking about the PE guy, but in various cities?
I think I think I originally made him like a New York PE guy. Like I think I just was like, all right, he's in New York. And then I evolved to like he was in New Jersey and then I was like, oh, I guess like the character doesn't have to follow this like it can be this character just in different cities. Like it was very I don't remember the specific moment where I had that thought, but I think that's what happened where I was just like this I have so much more content because I did New York City or whatever, or wherever he was from Connecticut first or whatever I had him. And then I was like, oh my gosh, what if I could just plug and play like put him in LA and like what would he that just opens up a whole new 3 minute Instagram reel because I love creating the stuff but I was like oh if I pigeonhole myself into like a oh like he's in New York and he has to stay there and like then there's nothing to play with but when I was like then I like kind of lifted my head up and I was like he doesn't have to stay in New York he can be like the version in New York the version in Nashville, the version in Toronto. Like, so I was like, oh my gosh, if I do that, then the possibilities are endless. Because people were like, well, don't you think the videos are going to get old or he's going to get older? You're going to run out of content. And now I'm like, no, because even when I'm done with all the major cities, I can start doing like PE guy at his college reunion at
Yeah.
Stanford. Like he can be anywhere now, you know, so that was the coolest thing. I was just like, wow, he could talk about anything. He could live in any city, and so I think that's just kind of how I started doing the cities. And then once I did a few big cities, people were like, "Please do my city." Like they wanted to see, and they're like, he would go to this place, and like people sending me information, like if you do LA, like make sure he belongs to this club, like not this one, or so that was the coolest part. I was like, whoa, people are like involved, people are like interested in this, and that what made it a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think that's why it hits for so many people is because like the best content I feel like is relatable and we all know this guy in some capacity or the other. Obviously your version of it is to like the nth degree, but we all totally know this dude. And so go to the city piece of it, which is I think part of what makes it really good is it's very specific. So like Portland, Oregon, for example, where I'm in New York now, but I moved from Portland. We're not like a PE hub, right? But you're doing this research and name dropping things like Pal's Books, or you're like, we got Deal Flow at the Mac Club, and we're like, dude, that's Portland. Like you
Yeah.
get us. So I know you said you get some of that from people messaging you, but do you have your own research process that you do before you create one of these?
Yeah, so I'll take what people send me and I'll put it into a Google Doc and then I'll look at like real estate in that area. And if someone sends me an area, I'll make sure that that real estate in that area is actually like ridiculously expensive. And then I'll look at like a certain street and then maybe I'll like go on Google Maps and zoom out and see like just type in like fine dining near this address and like I'll find a restaurant and then I'll look at their menu and then I'll say like okay they have foie gras on the menu. I'll say that his 2-year-old daughter likes the foie gras on the menu and then someone will say like go to this country club and then I'll look online and see if like the initiation fee there is more expensive than at the other one I was thinking about. So I kind of check people, like if people will help me, they'll send some stuff and then I'll do my own checks on Google. And then I kind of will just come up with like the most ridiculous, like he usually always like harkens back to like what his firm is rolling up in the moment.
Yeah.
And like when I did Watch Hill, Rhode Island, I was like, he's rolling up like lobster pods. up the eastern seaboard. Like I was just like, that's a good, like that's kind of like whatever, Lobster, Rhode Island makes sense. And then like the more ridiculous I can get, like once I have the foundations of the script, then I can like get really ridiculous with it. Like, oh, he's like talking about how his son is like the best at croquet in his whole school or whatever. Like, and some of these private schools that I'll look up in the towns, like they actually do offer some like absurd clubs or sports that I'm like,
Fencing
okay,
and
like
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, and then people will literally comment like, my son actually plays croquet at that school, like so it's like I try to make it realistic, and then there's a couple things that are so like way out there where it's like, oh, I have an infrared room in my house that's like 1,000 square feet, something that's like so absurd, but then also like something that's very like that could actually be relatable for like thousands of people.
Yeah, I know a lot of the infrared and sauna and cold plunge guys. Those are. I know a lot of rich guys that all have those.
But
That's a
yeah,
good theme
everybody
to visit.
loves that stuff. Yeah.
Do you? And so I see on your posts like you'll get a lot of kind of big time finance people actually commenting. Like so, for example, I see Josh Brown is always commenting on yours because his goes to the top. He's like
Is
with
that downtown
CNBC.
Josh Brown?
Yeah, he's like one of
Yeah.
the biggest names in finance media. I guess first part like is I guess that's kind of fun, but like, do you have any background in finance yourself?
No, not even a 1 second of it. No, which is so funny. Um, and you're not the first person to tell me like you don't realize the people who are liking your
Yeah.
content or like, and I'm so to people in those worlds, they're like, oh my gosh, did you realize that? And I'm like, if it's not like a celebrity, I don't really probably know who it was. But it is really cool to be like, oh, like shoot, someone just said recently like, did he say the founder of Instagram? Maybe. Like maybe there's a couple founders of Instagram. I don't know. He was like, you realize like he commented on your last thing and he follows you. And I was like, I don't even know who that is. But that's a cool thing because I never like saw it. I've not been like I didn't start this like seeking out validation from people in the industry, but it is super validating and cool to see people who are in the space go like, this is legit. These are legit people that are like liking and sharing your stuff. Like it's one thing for me to have like the very first celebrity interaction I think was like Bill Burr followed me or just reposted me. I can't remember, but like someone was like, congratulations on the Bill Burr repost. And I was like, that's an amazing comedian. Like people love it. So like that was really cool to me. And then people will say like, oh, this like crazy like finance person follows your CEO. And I'm like, I don't know who that is, but that's awesome. Like there's so many different like channels for it and people who love it. And then I'm on like a tangent here, but like then
Oh, keep going.
people will be like, my son is sophomore in high school, and he and his football team like love your stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Like, and then people are like, my dad loves your stuff, and he's 75, and I'm like, so it kind of feels like it's just like it's been like universally enjoyed, which is really really fun.
It is. It's so universal, and I think it goes back to what you were saying before because it's so relatable. We all know this guy. Like I said, my dad loves it. My fiance and I will do impressions together, or we'll watch the videos together and just be cracking up.
I love it.
On the finance, because you said your background's not in finance, but one of the things about the videos is they're satirical, but they're very up to date and not like in the loop with what's going on. So he's like saying it in a funny voice and all this stuff, and the face, of course, too. By the way, it's a little odd interviewing your real face right now.
I know.
I'm
I
so
know.
used to the guy.
I
Um,
know. Me too, honestly. When I see my face on a screen, I'm expecting like
is
but
that a
it's not that.
filter on? Is that a filter on
It's a
Instagram?
it's a Snapchat filter.
Okay, got it, got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Where was I going with that? Oh, yes. So how how do you stay up to date with all this stuff? Because like, do you just listen to podcasts so like today, for example, the big PE news was EA Sports. Shout out to my Madden and MVP baseball fans, very near and dear to my childhood. But
Yeah.
they got purchased by PE, and there was a video about it already today. So how do you stay up to date with not only the events but also some of the terminology too?
Yeah, so for instance, for example, my brother-in-law is in town visiting me um with my sister and their baby, and he was like, "Did you see the EA Sports thing?" And I had seen some DMs come through that I hadn't opened just because there are a lot of them every day, and I saw a lot of you got to do EA Sports. Like I saw a lot of that, and then some people, like friends would have texted me over the last week or whenever this happened and said like, "You got to do a video about this." And so then I look at it and I look at a couple articles and I find like the most easily digestible one for somebody like me. And I get like the basics. And then I'm like, what's a ridiculous thing here that he would say? And I'm like, all right, this is perfect. He's Jared Kushner's friend from childhood. Awesome. So I'm like, Jared Kushner and I, great guy. We go way back, really excited for him and the Saudi Arabia team, like just the most absurd shit. And then I really only need to throw in a couple like terminology things there that I either knew before and I have learned a lot about it. So like um, I throw in a couple things like that, and then that was posted like I don't know 5 hours ago, and a couple hours ago Jared Kushner followed me, and I was like, okay, well, yeah, I was like, at least he liked it. Um, yeah, so like that's like that. There's another example of it being very validating. Like, was
Well,
I
you
on
guys
the
are
internet?
you're close personal friends, so I figured you
Exactly. Yeah, I was shocked that he
had
didn't
that.
already follow me.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, due to my role. But no, I think it's funny. I was never like seeking out a following from Jared Kushner, but like the most random things of that's what's been so beautiful about this like whole character is that the most random like relationships and connections have been made with every kind of person out there. Like the most like different ends of the spectrum. Everybody seems to be like kind of coming together and I think that it's like a really right now it's a crazy time in the world. It has been. I think we've been saying that for 10 years. Like it has been for a while, but I think that um it's nice to just like my comments are pretty like even keel. There's not a lot of political conversations. There's not like it's not like an argument. It's just like haha. And even mentioning someone as polarizing as Jared Kushner could be in a like people are having fun with it and not like fighting with each other. And I'm like, this is so refreshing for me. I get freaked out every time I'm like, if I say one thing about anything, like anything that could be misconstrued, I'm like, oh, here we go. We're going to go into some comment war. And that just isn't happening so far. So, like, knock on wood. Um, it just feels like it's been like it's so even like mentioning companies, like talking about like a deal that happened and pretending I was a part of the deal. Company people will be like, I was actually part of this. I was in the room negotiating this. This is so hilarious. Instead of like, you don't know any, there's no like
Yeah,
fighting going on. Like you don't know what you're talking about. You're just a dumb comedian. Like
yeah, dude, you don't get how PE actually works. Yeah.
yeah, you don't know what you're talking about because it's like I own that. I have no idea what I'm talking about. But like that's what's been so fun is I can do the topical stuff. I can learn a little bit about it and then like spew out what I've learned and like make it funny and people like it. And some people are like, "Oh, I didn't realize that EA Sports was a part of the biggest leverage buyout ever." Like, it's kind of like it's just like all positive so far.
Yeah, it really is. I didn't even think about that, but it's not, it's like one of the few places people are coming together and just laughing. Do you intentionally, so I think, okay, so like the big news right now is the government shutdown, which is just inherently going to be inflammatory. People are going to pick sides. Do you
Yeah.
intentionally just stay away from stuff like that and don't do a video that's like, here's what government shutdown means for PE?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. I'm like super like if you want to talk to me about politics, like you're gonna have to like buy me a drink and you're gonna have to we're gonna have to sit down in person because I just also think that a lot of people have like there's no good conversations happening online pretty
Yeah.
much about politics. So I'm like, why am I? And I also don't want to. Whether right or wrong, I don't want to alienate anybody. I don't want
Yeah.
anyone to feel like they can't come and like laugh at my jokes because we disagree vehemently over something. Like it's just like, what's the point? What's the point of that? Like this is art in my mind. This is art. Comedy is an art form. Like I'm here to make you laugh. We're not. If it were a political like a political podcast Instagram page, like that would be I would welcome the arguing in the comments and I would understand that only 50% of the country would follow me or and 50% would hate me. But I'm like, I just think that I've been intentional about that, and I didn't really even think about that until like probably a month and a half into this, and then things would happen in the news, and I would be like, all right, well, this might be something you would post about on your personal thing before this happened, but now it's like that's not what people are here for. So, and if you want my political opinion, like we'd sit down and like talk about it, but like that's not what anybody's here for. So why would PE guy go out of his way to be outraged about something to make 50% of his followers happy and then 50% angry at him? Like, there's just no reason to do that. So, like, I want to keep it a place where that's not discussed really.
Yeah, that's such a good lesson just in general for people. I mean, I write about this. I have a weekly blog. I write about this sometimes, but I find that people in person, not, there's exceptions, but people in person are generally pretty dang pleasant, and people
Mm-hmm.
behind their screens are not pleasant. I don't know how else to put it. And so the more, especially in, like you're talking about high stakes or inflammatory conversations, you have those conversations in person, you can make them work. But when you do it on the internet, it just no one
No.
wins. It just devolves into, it's like what's the saying? Like when people from a distance, an argument, both parties in the argument end up looking like fools, and it just there's
Yeah.
no there's no winners there.
No, 100%. You say things you would never say in person. You say things you
Yes.
don't really mean. You go below the belt. It's just like I'm like that is not what I'm here for. And I will say like every once in a while there's like somebody will say something nasty to me and I pretty much just block them. And I'm like,
Yeah.
because I'm just like, let's just like not even, but I have in the past like engaged with people, and that is kind of what they want. So,
Mhm.
and I'm trying to keep it light. So do my best to not engage.
Yeah, the block feature is good too. If I try to do that, if I feel the urge, like, oh, I need to say something here, I'm like, I can just block them, and then I don't have to feel this way anymore.
I can just
It's
pretend
really,
they don't exist.
yeah, exactly. So another kind of, I guess, more of a societal question. I wrote about this on my blog a few weeks ago. The topic or the blog title was called "You Can't Buy Aura," and I think there's a lot of people with a lot of money who are actually really cool, awesome people. In fact, I would say
Yeah.
most. But
Yeah.
there's a contingent, I think, who I don't know how to say it, like don't aren't that cool, and they think that money is gonna make up for it, or that they can like essentially buy swag, for lack of a
Yeah.
better term.
Yeah.
Your character seems to kind of be the embodiment of that.
Yeah.
I mean, A, am I right? And B, we're obsessed with money in America. It's not like this everywhere. Has
Yeah.
money turned us into kind of weirdos in some cases?
I think I think absolutely. I don't know what it was like to live as an adult in like the 80s or a different time, but I think that definitely like, we know that social media has changed the game. So I think that people will almost do anything to like prove that they are, it's this like it's currency, and then it's like a social currency. Like your job is your social currency, your title. So you say, and that's where I think the PE thing came in for me, was like people would be like, well, I'm in PE, private equity, and it was like they were like, well,
The same.
I'm royalty, so what are you doing not bowing down to me? Like I was just like, what is that? And I literally was like, I don't really know what that means, but and people are like, oh, he's in private equity, like he makes a lot of, and and I think that people are like, all right, if I make a lot of money, then I can like, and if everything's perfect in my life or perfect seeming, then I don't have to like look inward and have any sort of like, I don't have to like the flaws and the things that make me like deeply depressed and that things that scare me in the world like can't touch me because everything's perfect. Like, I don't have to like grapple with the fact that I've like always been socially insecure because like now I show up at a party and people are like, that guy sold his company to private equity for however much, like he's loaded, like I think but then and I think that that's the deeper thing about this character is that he's successful, but he is so deeply like lonely. And there's like a deeper level to that. It's like the person who is like has everything riding on his job and the amount of money that he makes, And like you said, I know plenty of people who have, I mean, people my age, who maybe not a lot of them are like self-made, super wealthy people, but I know a lot of people that come from very wealthy families, and their parents and them are so normal, and you would never know, you know, like that, like they're not allowed to post on their family private plane because they're like, we're not doing that. You know, they're just like, we don't do that. We don't make people feel less than because we have more than them. Like that's so there's it's not that's not always the case, but I do think we are obsessed, and I do think that um that it's like it speaks to like there's like all this abundance, but there's also with that is so much loneliness and emptiness. So it's kind of depressing if you think about it that way, but that's how I see it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a saying, excuse me, there's a saying that money makes you more of who you already want.
Yeah.
And if money is your way of filling a void that, like, I'm not cool or I'm socially insecure or whatever, it's not going to make you better. It's going to turn you into an asshole who compensates for feeling inferior by making others feel inferior. And then on the flip side, if you're already a good person, you got all this money, you can do cool stuff. You can take care of your family, you can give to charity, you can start a nonprofit. And so, we're at this crossroads in America. You touched on it. The 80s and 90s were not the same because of social media. I heard this, I forgot who said it, but they said we used to keep up with the Joneses, meaning the guy or gal who had a nice car on your block. Now we keep
Yeah.
up with the Kardashians, the guy or gal who's hopping on private jets to St. Barth every weekend. And it has a very profound effect on it's rewired our brains, basically.
Yeah. It's kind of sad to think about that, but that's so true.
So, okay, back to your videos. They're objectively, I think everybody agrees they're really good. They're funny, but there's production value too. So it's not just what you're saying. You can tell you put a lot of effort into the backdrop and the way it's cut up
My
and
outfits.
the outfit, of course. Most importantly, the outfit
So
and the
important.
face. The face,
Yes.
but I think like for as a creator, or I'm sorry, for someone looking from the outside at people who are creators, there may be this. I don't feel this way, but there may be this idea that okay, I turn on the camera and just start talking, and there are people that do that and do it successfully. But I think yours, it looks like there's a lot of effort put into it. So what is you told us a bit about like your research process, but the production value, and I know there's time goes into it because you post your outtakes sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, so take us from like square one, you've come up with an idea for a video to square whatever it actually gets published on Instagram.
Yes. So when I think of, there's sometimes video ideas that are like I have logged and they're in like a list and I'm like, I'm gonna do that today. And then there's some that are just like something like EA Sports. Like I gotta do a video on this, I do it same day. Or like, oh, I have a great idea, I'm gonna do baby moon video and I do it in the same day. So I'll sit down and write a script and kind of like punch it up on my own. Maybe write like the beginning, the foundations of it, and then step away from it, come back to it, make it more ridiculous. And then when I'm ready, when I'm like, okay, this is gonna be good, I will run through it like just talking normally, see how long it's gonna be. And then ideally I kind of want it between like 60 seconds and 90 seconds and not longer and not shorter. So if I have to add, I'll do that. And then I'll go. Um,
Hey guys, we're taking a quick break, but before we get back into it, if you're enjoying this episode, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps us to keep bringing you more valuable content. And if you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, don't forget to leave a review. Please, it makes a huge difference. All right, let's get back to it.
I'll have it on my computer and I'll kind of make the script like smaller. So it's like, instead of saying, I golf at Weburn Country Club, it's just Weburn Country Club. Or I play pickleball with my son, it says Tarantino Pickleball. Like, so it's just like bullet points kind of. And then I'll prop up my computer behind my phone, which is in like a tripod thing, ring light situation. And then I'll just turn the filter on and start rolling, step back, take a big breath, and like go for it. And usually I can get it within 2 or 3 takes.
Oh,
And
wow.
um, But it's like I literally am like it's very physical also, even though the filter does the face. There's contorting that I'm doing too. So I'm
Yeah.
very like on my toes and like yelling and I'm like so it's really like I get really into it. So I have to have like the energy to do it, you know? So if it's been like a long day or I'm tired, it's like hard to like muster it all up. But I when I get into it, it's like it's the best. I'm like, you know, just screaming at my phone. And then when it's over, I'm literally like like just panting, like I've like run, you know. So
Like
my
the
body is like getting into it, and then I like come down from it, and then I'm like sitting there just in dead silence, like editing it, and it's like this crazy like juxtaposition between this like big thing to this like small, just like me tinkering on my phone and then on my laptop editing it. So I'll export it to my computer, edit it, make sure the sound levels are good. Like if there's like something in the background, I can always like kind of pull that out. Then I'll do background image and background sound, like birds tweeting or something. Um, and then I'll just save it and upload it to my phone. And like, you know, then there's the going through the reels captions and making sure that it's like correct and not saying, because those captions, those like auto generated captions can be really bad. Um,
Mhm.
so you got to kind of run through that, and then I'll post it. And I do think I am thoughtful about like when I'm posting, just so that it's not some like obscure time. But I don't care that much about it, and I try to make a video every 2 days, pretty much.
Do you go? Because I have to imagine. I know you work as a trainer during the day, so I can imagine you probably have to just like you said, you're sometimes exhausted, or you probably have to hop out of class and do one of these pretty quickly. Do you have to go like kind of like method actor? Okay, I'm not trainer Johnny anymore. I'm PE guy, and it's like a like you flip a switch in your head and you just start
Yeah,
acting.
definitely. If sometimes I'll be in the car, if I have like a 20-minute drive back from one of the studios I'm teaching at, I'll be like in the car and I'll be like literally just like very cool. Like I'll just like yell to myself like very cool. Like just kind of like get into it. And I'm like, because I gotta like get out of the I have to get out of the fitness instructor thing and then get into the like ridiculousness. So I do, and even if I'm not driving home or doing that, like just going from regular life like to into that, I have to like it's like a singer being like, you know, like vocal exercises. They're
Yeah.
just kind of like I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, very cool. Awesome, very cool. Very cool. And then I'm like in it and I'm like, all right, I know I've got it. I gotta go and do it. So it does take like a little second to like get the voice there and get like my mind in the right headspace because it's so absurd. I mean, like it's you can't just go from like talking to you like this into like screaming at my phone. Like I need a
Right.
minute, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you record any of them at the gym, like between training sessions, or do you always go home and do it?
I pretty much always go home. I think there was one time where someone was really like needed like a video. They didn't need it, but it was like for their brother's birthday and they were like leaving town, getting on a plane and he wanted to show it to him before and I was like, "All right, the background's going to be like the like a closet at the studio. Like is that
Hmm.
okay?" And he's like, "I don't care, just like." And I was like, "I'm not going to have time to edit it." And he was like, "Just make the video wishing him happy birthday, whatever." So I've done that like in a pinch, but typically I like to be at home and I like to have like the green screen because then I can put any background. Like I can put
Right.
like trees or like a house or whatever. Um, and then it just I don't know, it's like a more it's just easier. It has the light is right because it's like the ring light. So I prefer to be home.
Was there? I know you've only been doing this. I didn't realize because I found your account. I think probably around March. I didn't realize you literally started it in March.
Yeah.
Was there a moment, or was there a particular post when you started doing this that kind of went crazy, and you were like, "Oh shit! Like I might have something here."
It was the first post.
No
Like
way.
I had been doing the filter. I had been making for like a couple weeks maybe. I've been making like the filter face as a guy who's just a know-it-all. And so like I was in Florida visiting my mom and I remember there was an iguana and I remember just like posting a picture of the iguana and then I was like in the PE guy filter, I was just like that's actually the North American iguana. Like he was talking like a know-it-all about like lizards or
Yeah.
something. And it was like haha and people thought it was funny but I only posted to my story and I had a friend who was like hey post you gotta post these to reels like I wanted to show my mom but like you these are just 24-hour stories like just post your stuff to reels like why aren't you doing that and I was like I'm not a reels guy And she was like, why not? Just do it. You have nothing to lose. So the next one that I made was like the character, like, and he was kind of like the guy you could start talking to at a wedding. And I'd done it before as a story, but I did another one. I posted it as a reel. And I think the next day it had like 100,000 views. And I was like, what? Like, and I assumed it was a fluke. I assumed it was like a one-off. And then 2 days later I did it again, and it did it again. And it was like, so I just kind of like and knock on wood, at no point was it like, oh, that was a hit, this was a miss. That it was just, they were all like fire. And I was like, what? So then I just kept doing it, and I was like, surely this will run out. Surely there won't be, interest from brands or anything. But like, it was quite the contrary. It was like, it has just kept doing this, and the brands have reached out, and I make cameos for people every day. So it just like, from the get-go, from the first time I posted it to Reels, it just kind of took off.
Yeah. I mean, I know, yeah, you're doing the cameos. I didn't even know, like, maybe tell us a little bit whatever you can share. What brands are you working with?
I'm working with Cadillac right now. Cadillac, and then Ramp is a corporate card. I'm working with Ramp.
Yeah.
Blade I've worked with, the helicopter company, and the Black Tux. And there's a couple other like down the road that you'll see in a couple weeks probably. So it's just been really fun. Like the eyeballs that are on my content. It's very valuable to these brands. It's like a lot of the people we were just talking about, like who are following me and have started companies or have sold their companies, and so I think brands see that, and for right now it's valuable to them. So I feel like I'm in a good position.
That's insane. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, because that's the type of people that are following me. That's the most valuable ad space, is that demographic who, frankly has money and spends money.
Exactly.
God, so you mentioned your friend was like, "Yo, you got to do this as a reel," and you were kind of like, I'm not a reels guy. So it sounds like maybe posting or self-promotion or is like a hard thing for you. And I can relate. Like, years of my business, I do real estate, I never posted anything on social, because I was like, I don't want people to think I'm like braggy or something or trying to promote myself. But like, how did you, I mean, it seems like you got over that hurdle pretty quickly, but was that difficult? So you mentioned like when you started, your buddy hit you up and was like, hey, you got to make this into a reel. And that was kind of you're like, I'm not a reels guy. And I can relate a little bit, because I work in real estate. For years, I never posted anything on social, because I was like, I don't want to be braggy or self-promotional or whatever. I mean, it sounds like you got over that pretty quickly, but what was that like, kind of getting past that mental barrier?
So I will say I was down to make Instagram stories for friends that had followed me already. I was fine with that and being silly for them. But then for like a reel, I knew that could go to like anybody. The algorithm could feed it to anybody. I was like, I don't want to know if I want to put myself out there like that, because I'm a weird guy. I'm like funny. It's ridiculous. Like, but I think, I was like, you know what? My friend was right. I was like, there really is nothing to lose here. Like, I'm just trying to make people laugh. Like, there's nothing mean about this. Let's just try it. And I really don't think that it was ever put out there with the intention of like going viral. I just was like, this will live on my page. So it's more just about me being able to look back on it and laugh myself in a couple of years or whatever. And having it just not disappear, because, people are like, hey, that was really funny. We wish we could have shared it. So make it shareable. And I was like, all right, this is kind of just for my people who like me already. It wasn't about it taking off. So then when it did, I think that's how I got over that uncertainty about posting. I was like, well, like the algorithm likes me right now. Like I kind of got to feed it. It's just like, you don't really, the people would kill for this kind of like, this kind of opportunity where like, it's just like the floodgates are open. And so I was just, that helped me get over it very quickly. Just the eyeballs and the people being like, do it again. I was like, okay, sure. Yeah.
Do you have a background? Like, have you done stand up, or did you take drama in school or anything like that?
I didn't take drama in school or anything but I have, I've done stand up classes. I used to do improv. I lived in LA. for a couple of years and Chicago, improv in LA and Chicago. And I've always loved making people laugh, but I just wasn't sure like what my thing was going to be. Was it going to be like stand up? Not really. Like I took a stand up class. I did stand up. I was like, I don't think this is like it for me at the time. Maybe now I could do something with it, but like it's really, really hard. And it did not come naturally to me. Improv came a little more naturally to me. But there were certain things about it that I was just like, that I always knew that Instagram, the internet is a great way to reach a lot of people at once, you know, and like have your friends laugh at your stuff. They're not going to come to your comedy show maybe, but they're going to laugh at your like silly story. So I've always liked to make people laugh. I've always kind of been the person in my family who like is the diffuser with humor or try to be the funny one. So like kind of was the kid who would get in trouble for cracking jokes during class all throughout school. Not a good student. But I was kind of like in that way, I was like, I'm a misfit. I was like, I'm supposed to be a good student. Like, all your friends are going to like into banking and you just like doodled during your 4 years of college and what do you have to show for it, you know? So this has been kind of nice because I'm like, well, I guess it could turn into something lucrative and exciting.
Well, sounds like it is. This question's directly from my dad, actually, who's a PE guy.
Yes.
Super. He wants to know if wifey Ibida, I can barely get the words out. If wifey Ibida, Tarantino, and Montauk are going to make any appearances. Sounds like you've gotten this one before.
It's such a good question. I've thought about that. I'm like, if I do that, it's got to be like so good. It has to be so good that it's like this is better than I expected. And I've thought about it. I'm working on maybe even some sort of like a TV show type thing. So if that were to happen, I think that those characters would be introduced on Instagram before on like TV, if that makes sense. So yeah, I thought about it. It's just got to be like my favorite videos to make are the ones like recently are the ones where I'm like one where I said Tarantino, like he was playing the piano and I was like, can you stop? Like we have friends over like that, you know, like you don't see him, but you like feel like he's there. And then the golf one where I'm like, great swing, you know. So for right now, it's like it's almost more fun for me that people are like we want to see those characters, and I'm just like holding out for as long as I can.
Yeah, there's two sides to it, right? Like it would be fun to see them, but then I think you're right. Like the mystery of it, like it's kind of an abstract. Some of my favorite videos actually, the ones where you're like, wifey's gotten super close with the tennis pro. She's doing 3 lessons today, like those. Yes. And I think about it, and I'm like, I think it's better that I don't know who she is or what she looks like. It's just like this abstract character. I don't know.
Yes, it's kind of like you know what is crazy? I never watched this show, but there's a couple shows like this. But Gossip Girl was one where I think Dax Shepard's wife. Obviously, I know her name. Kristen Bell, I think, was the voice of Gossip Girl, but you never saw her. Like, she was not, she like narrated the show as Gossip Girl, but you never saw, you know, so, and I think that there's other concepts like that. Like, I think maybe How I Met Your Mother is like that a little. You know, like, so like, you kind of like, it's this like, who is that? And then maybe someday there's a reveal, but the whole time it's like this mystical, like, who is that? Like, what do they look like? And it's just like up to your imagination too, which is kind of fun. Like we don't use our imaginations that much as like adults in the real world, which sucks. Like, so it's kind of forcing you to be like, you could just imagine what wifey looks like and like what her tennis pro looks like and what they're doing, you know. And this guy's like, yeah, she's always there. Like, I don't know, it's crazy.
It's wild. I don't know what she must be.
Yeah, she's always there and her back hurts. Yeah. She threw out her back again.
Really good at tennis. She's taking these lessons really serious.
Yeah, it's my favorite. Like, it's so ridiculous. But then I have people something similar to that. Then I have people who are like, actually, like, I am a tennis pro, and that does happen. Like, I have friends who are at club, and they're like, that actually is something that So people are, I mean, like I said, there's this wide, spectrum of people who are enjoying it. There are people who are like, this hits way too close to home.
Yeah.
Like this is literally my life. And then there's people who can just imagine it.
Again, I mean it's good because it's real. Like people relate to it for better or worse, I guess.
Exactly.
Do you get people like in because you do personal training one-on-one, but you do group classes too, right?
I do mostly just group classes. So,
Okay.
and I do, if your question was, do people come because of PE guy?
It was that, and do people make you do impressions ever in class?
Yes and yes. So,
Okay.
so people will come and be like, "Hey, I'm in town from New Jersey, and I looked up because I knew you were at Barry's, and I looked up your schedule, and I saw you teaching. I had to come to your class, and then maybe we'll take a picture afterwards. So that definitely happens. And then people want, this doesn't happen that often, but people will be like, "You gonna do class in PE guy voice today?" Like laughing. And then during class, these are loud rooms, like
Yeah.
music's loud, like lights are low. And
Right.
a couple months ago, she like raised her hand and waved me over, and I was like, "Oh, like I thought she was hurt or something." And she was like, "Do the voice." I was like, "What?" Like it was so loud. I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Do the voice." And I literally just into the microphone. I just was like, "Oh, I will. Yeah, I will." And then I walked away. I was like, "What?" Like, do the voice. But it's a good thing it's like it's really funny that people are like enjoying it that much. But I'm like, I do have to like separate the two because it's
Yeah.
so ridiculous. I can't, like I said, I can't just go from being like, all right, treadmills, do this, floor lift, pick up your weights, like, and then be like, oh, that's awesome, very cool. Like people will be like, what are we doing here? Like, what is this? So,
Yeah, you
it's
should
on
check
that.
out. So my because you're in group fitness, my
Yeah,
fiance and her family own a gym. It's called Grit Boxing here in New York City. You might be
I've
familiar
definitely
with it.
heard of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If you're ever in town, we'll get you
Oh, that'd be so fun. PE
pass or
guy getting
something.
punched in the face.
Yeah, yeah. PE guy gets beat up.
Yeah,
Um,
people want to hit him. They do. Check the
yeah.
comments. Want to punch him.
Okay. I want to pitch you on an idea for a video. I
I
don't think
love
you've
that.
done it. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's
Tell
my
me.
idea because this is a real world interaction I've had. I
Oh,
mean, I've had it
nice.
multiple times. And there's one guy that stands out. I was in LA at this party, and we're in New York, and so we're out in LA, and this guy is like kind of hounding my like he's a really nice guy, but all night he's talking to my fiance and I about his corporate card and how important he is and how he has a corporate card. And
Yes.
when he comes to New York, he's gonna take us out to steaks and we're gonna buy like nice bottles of wine and it's all good because it's on the corporate card and I'm a producer, so like the corporate card, so anyway, long way of saying corporate card guy. What do you think?
Yes, yes, I love that. I love that. Some of my earlier videos, some of my first ones are him talking about like which card do you have, and
I
like,
did see that. Yes.
but it's so similar but not the same. And yes, I love that idea. I love
Okay.
that idea. Yeah, and honestly, you need to like we talk on Instagram. Like, you need to like if you have an idea, just send it to me because like sometimes I get so tunnel vision on something, and then somebody's like, "Hey, have you thought about doing this?" And I'm like, "Bingo! Like such a good idea." So I love that.
You got it. Hey, man, you've been super generous with your time. A few final questions. Do you
Yeah.
get, I know you're working with a lot of brands. Do you get, have you been on many podcasts or do you do a lot of media stuff?
I've been on a couple podcasts, not that many. And I've done, I went on Fox News, Fox Business the other day, a couple weeks ago.
What did you
And
talk about?
we talked about they made me do the voice and the face, which was weird. And then I don't think that the hosts knew that it was a filter.
They
So
get
when I
it.
got on the camera, they were like, "Wait, we're so curious that your face doesn't look like." And I was like, "Oh boy!" Like the producer did not do their job here. It was very awkward because they were like, "You don't look like your Instagram," and I was like, "Oh boy." So that, and then I have some other like interest from other potential like MSNBC kind of, like another news thing. And then there's just like write-ups that people do, like local Rye, New York, local paper. Um, but no, I haven't done a lot of stuff. But what I really right now I feel lucky that if somebody reaches out and is nice to me and not like aggressive. I'm just like, yeah, I'd love to I'd love to talk about what I'm doing, like on your podcast with you. So I've been on a few, but there's not some like overwhelming demand where I'm like, no, I have to pick and choose which one I go on. So for now,
don't have a publicist yet, but
yeah, not yet, not yet.
Huh. What do you, okay, when you're not teaching classes or rolling up lobster shacks in Rhode Island, what do you like to do for fun?
I I like such an interesting question. I really do like just like the very simple things in life. I feel like life is so crazy, chaotic. I like walking my dogs, listening to a podcast, like listening to funny people talk about things, like Smartless podcasts, like
Mm.
podcasts with, like a celebrity who I like is being interviewed by another celebrity I like. Um, Listening to music, working out. I don't run very much because I got a fracture in my foot 10 years ago and it's flared up.
Oh, man.
But working out, and it's so simple that I've just grown kind of to appreciate the very like the mundane in life and life. And if yeah, I personally think if you can be comfortable with kind of like the boringness of life and fulfilled, that's like a great thing. Because I'm not like if I have nothing planned in a day, I don't like freak out about it. I'm not like, oh, I gotta go do something. I don't have that because I feel like just like getting up, taking care of the dogs, taking care of myself is enough. Um, so I'm kind of just like into like working out, taking care of myself, like learning, listening to podcasts. That sounds so boring. I like to travel, but not too much. That's the thing. I'm not like I love being home. I love just like, um, I love a fad. I love like doing Whole30 for a month and then going the opposite for two and then going back and like, yo-yoing. But I unfortunately I don't have like a really exciting answer to that. Like I just love to crochet or road cycle, you know. Um,
No, I love it, man. I live in Manhattan where it's like sensory overload a lot of the time.
yeah,
So just like going for a walk in Central Park and throwing my AirPods in and listening to a podcast, like it's so valuable.
yeah, that's how
Do
I
you
feel.
have, on that note, so I ask everybody this, what's the best thing you've read, watched, or listened to recently?
I'm gonna go with Matt. I don't know if you know who Matt Friend is.
Uh-uh.
Matt Friend on Instagram. You've probably seen his stuff on TikTok or on Instagram. He does impressions of like everybody. So Howard Stern, Donald Trump, but really good impressions. And he's all over the place right now. So I just recently saw him on Dak Shepard's podcast, which I've mentioned because it's top of mind. I just saw him on Dak Shepard's podcast rolling through impressions. That kind of stuff, like Chloe Fineman on SNL, who used to be on SNL, she did like Meryl Streep and all those, and she would go on Jimmy Fallon and do like they would say like 10 seconds do Meryl Streep, 10 seconds do this person. Matt Friend is like that, but for like male characters, and he is like I see a new thing of his every day on Instagram and TikTok, and I am not tired of it, never bored of it, like fascinated by him. And like he's like the most like gifted and skilled person I've like ever seen in my life, I think. And I have so much respect for him, and I'm like, that's somebody who is like, and he's just kind of at the beginning of his career, I think. So that has to be my answer, even though it's like not like a book or a movie, because I'm consuming the most of like his stuff. You got to check it out. He's like spot on. Like if you close your eyes, you think you're listening to whoever he's parodying,
Parroting?
parodying.
Parroting, yeah, parroting or parodying. Let's both work there, maybe.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, Matt Friend. Yeah, yeah,
Maybe we'll
yes, yes. That would be. Yeah, he's like someone I'd be like starstruck to talk to. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Well, that'd be cool, man. Well, yeah. Thanks again for coming up. This has been a blast, dude. I hope, and
Oh
I
yeah, thank you.
can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And again, thanks for like I told you at the start of the show, the video you did for my dad too. I want to thank you again for that.
Oh my gosh,
Thanks so much
anytime.
for your time, man.
Of course, thank
Before
you.
before we let you go, how can our listeners Where can we support you? Where can we follow you? Where can we send a vest to? And all the above.
You can send, well, you can find me on Instagram or on TikTok at Johnny Hilbrant, JohnnyHilbrant on Instagram and TikTok. And then if you want to send me something, just DM me and I'll send you my PO box.
Okay.
Yeah, because the studios were getting like PR, like packages. They were like, "Can you tell people to stop sending stuff?" I was like, "All right, fine."
All right. Well, DM Johnny if you want to send him some merch. Obviously, subscribe. But due to his role, it needs to be something very high end.
It's substantial. It has to be substantial.
Has to be substantial.
Of course.
All right, Johnny. Well, you're the man. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Matt.
For coming
This was
on.
awesome. Thanks.
That is a wrap for today's episode. Thanks for tuning in to the Saucetown Investor. If you got value from this, drop us a comment and let us know your thoughts. Did you have a big takeaway? Is there a topic you want to see us cover next time? Is there a guest you want to see interviewed? DMs are open. Business is at Saucetown Properties, and my personal, you can DM me personally, is at The Real Matt Cox 4. We'd also like to ask you kindly to please like and subscribe. You can also follow along with the Saucetown Investor blog. That's mattcox444.substack.com. Thanks again, guys, and until next time, keep investing and stay saucy, Saucetown.